Joining us now is Border Patrol Chief Michael Banks. Michael, great to see you. Thank you for being here. How many migrants have actually taken the self-deportation packages?
A little over 1.9 million. We're fast
1.9
approaching 2
million.
million.
Wow, that is pretty. Now there are again people out there who say you're fiddling with the numbers. That once people, some people get to their home country of Salvador, wherever it is, and they can't find the money. Have you actually delivered that money to 1.9 million migrants, or are those just the people who signed up?
No, we've delivered that much as we've deported them as they self-deported from the country.
Wow, wow. How many more now are taking it as a result of tripling the number to $3,000?
And so we're starting to see a spike in our CBP Home app applications for self-deportation. And part of that is attributed to the extra incentivization that we're doing, but also part of it is due to these interior ops that we're doing, right? We're sending a very clear message that just because you got past the border under the last administration does not mean you're going to remain in the country illegally. And a lot of people are realizing that, hey, it's best to get out now under my own accord, with an opportunity to try to come back in legally later than to wait and be forcibly removed from the country and not have that option.
Now, just to put a fine point on it, what was happening during the Biden administration under Mayorkas was they would let people in who were not sufficiently meeting all the standards that we have for legal entry into the United States, but then they'd stamp them as parolees and say that they were legal, correct?
Correct.
That's all it was. And for those who have forgotten, by the way, the stuff that we had to listen to time and again that must have infuriated you at the border, here's a soundbite from Mayorkas trying to claim that the border was closed when he was DHS director. Roll it.
Today, as we sit here today, are all 9 sectors of the southwest border secure? And I'm just asking for a yes or no answer.
Congressman, I know you are asking for a yes or no answer. And the fact of the matter is that the challenges at the border are very complex and dynamic.
All right, well, I'm going to take from that if you can't answer yes, then the answer is no.
That is not true.
All right, so then you're saying all 9 are secure.
It is my testimony that the border is secure.
So what happened to all your Border Patrol agents who knew that was a lie? I mean, you guys must have been screaming, throwing things at the television set when you were watching that.
Yeah, it was absolutely absurd. And the reason why he couldn't say yes is because it was a lie. It was the least secure border we've ever seen. I actually left the Border Patrol, retired, because I didn't feel I could uphold my oath under that administration. And shortly after I retired, I was picked up by the Texas governor as the Texas borders are, and went to work securing Texas the best I could. And then I returned under the Trump administration. And so I can tell you right now, it was the least secure border we've ever had. You know, you would see Mayorkas and others get up there and say that we're vetting those individuals that are coming to this country. It's another lie. We weren't vetting anyone because most of the countries that were coming, the people that were coming in from other countries, their countries wouldn't share those vetting with us. You know, Venezuela, for an example, we saw thousands a day of Venezuelans, and that government would not communicate to us the criminal records of those individuals. And what we're finding now is we're going back and arresting those individuals that were released into this country under their open border policies. Is we're finding significant criminal records on these individuals, both in their home country and surprise, surprise, they started committing crimes as soon as they got here.
Exactly. Now, by the way, you weren't the only one who left the force. I've talked to people like Art Kudlow and others who tell me there were thousands, literally thousands of agents who were so disgusted by the whole thing. You're trying to bring them back, and you're offering bonuses to new recruits, but also to folks who left to bring them back, correct?
Absolutely. Our recruiting numbers are through the roof. You know, we had agents retiring under the Biden administration the first day they were eligible to retire. Many of those have said, hey, we'd like to come back. Now that we have an administration that supports law enforcement and allows us to actually go out there and honor our oath, we have a long list of agents coming back under what we call a reinstatement program or a welcome home program. Additionally, agents that left and went to other agencies are applying to come back. We've got record numbers of applicants. We had over 1,000 Border Patrol agents graduate from the academy this year. We have well over 1,000 in the academy set to graduate in the next 5 months. And we're on record to put over 3,000 agents through training next year.
Well, Chief, we're so grateful that finally you guys who've been on the line for a long, long time, risking your life, and of course we don't have time, but there are numbers and numbers and numbers. We've rolled the scrolls of the Border Patrol agents who died in the line of duty. It's a long list. And by the way, most of the names on that list have Latin surnames. I mean, these are, for all the accusations that were being thrown about racism and so forth, not so. The agents themselves were very often Latinos who were desperately fed up with those migrants who were dying as a result of being lured into the United States. But that's another whole discussion. Chief, congratulations for the work that you're doing, and have a wonderful Merry Christmas. Good to see you.
Thank you and Merry Christmas.